you said yesterday you were excited to get into the room and talk to. What's your impression of what you guys are trying to get done right now?
I mean, there's a lot of conversations happening. Whether it's with other teams, obviously agents and the free agents that are out there. So they're up there hard at work right now, and we'll see where it takes us. Not only today and the days that we're here, but obviously moving forward in the winter.
How disappointing was this whole thing?
Say it again.
How disappointing was this whole thing with
Soto?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, we wanted the player back. Ownership and the front office, I think, did everything we could to make it happen, and it just didn't. But as I told these guys yesterday, that's sports, and ultimately, Juan earned the right to be in the position that he's in, and he made a decision that he felt like was best. So, we went into this eyes wide open. It was a year ago when we were sitting and I remember making the deal at the winter meetings, and we knew there was no guarantees of anything moving forward. I think as much as it hurt to make the deal with some of the players that we lost, looking back, I feel like it was the right thing to do and served us well, and he had an amazing season obviously with us. And personally speaking, love getting to know him and getting to be his manager, and respect ultimately his decision that he made. So, it kind of hurts in the moment, but when you live in the business and you live in the sport, and again, it is sports. It doesn't always go your way, or it's now an opportunity for us to still. And our expectation is to still go out and build and put together a great team to go compete for a championship again next year, and that doesn't stop.
Having gone through the recruitment process with Young last year,
yeah.
What did you learn that'll help you refine it for if you meet Mississippi?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything specific. Every situation's different. I go into these things trying to just be who I am and authentic and present. So just and the experience of doing it, I'm sure, serves you well on some level, or helps shape you going into the next time you're in front of a player. But every situation, every player is a little bit different. But I don't know if there's anything specific.
What would be the primary point of your message to society?
Just the fact that many of us, obviously we've had people scouting him and developed some familiarity with the player. I've known who he is for the last couple of years, so in my own way have my own context of the player. I think there's no better place to do it than in New York with the pinstripes. And I think we have a lot to offer him in not only his development, but I think it's clear we're talking about a potentially dominant major league starting pitcher.
Aaron, there's a lot of Yankee fans who are very upset Soto went to the Mets when the money was that close. He's venting a lot on social media. Do you understand their pain? And if he gets the Jose Altuve treatment at Yankee Stadium, do you understand why they feel that way?
Yeah, I mean, it's sports, and we're talking about, the passion of New York fans and New York Yankee fans, and obviously what he meant to our team this year. So certainly understand the disappointment. But it's also, look, it's not going to stop us from hopefully going to put together another great team, and there's different ways of doing it, and we don't even know which way that is, this winter. You don't know how it's going to unfold, what free agents come into the mix, who you match up with, who you maybe match up with in a trade. So that's the fun part about now, and trying to make good evaluations and good decisions ultimately to put us in a good spot moving forward. But, I don't get caught up in what the social media is saying about it or whatever. The reality is Juan's a great person and obviously a great player, and it's sports, it's competition, and look forward to it all.
Are you baffled at all, though, that the money was that close? You got Judge, the tradition, the Yankee, that doesn't happen. People jump the other way, especially coming off the World Series and what probably Judge did.
Yeah, every case is different. Every person's different. There's different reasons why that you may know, you may never know. But ultimately, he was in that position to do that. So, that's his prerogative.
You guys haven't spent big on relievers recently, just based on your conversation. Do you see that changing a little bit this offseason?
Not necessarily, no. Again, though, you never know who you get in on or miss out on and what's available, and there's different roadmaps, I think, to building a successful team. There's obviously things we need to do to fill out our team and put us in a good position when we get down to Tampa, and you never know where that road's going to take you. But our goal is to take the right road and make the right decisions to give ourselves a chance to compete for a championship again. Depends where we go this offseason. I consider him, I think he was as dominant a reliever as there was in the game, especially in the second half with his emergence. So I have a ton of confidence in Luke. Whatever role that ends up being, whether it is the traditional closer, we'll just hopefully put him in the best position to be successful, and definitely have a lot of expectation and confidence that he's going to be, hopefully a part of another really strong bullpen.
Clay's gone now. You have a couple other guys who are free agents. How do you feel about the bullpen? What do you think you need there?
Yeah, I have a lot of confidence in our organization of being able to build and create a good bullpen. That again comes in a lot of different ways. Does that mean we're signing a free agent or two? Could be some internal options that we're excited about as well that maybe aren't in the forefront right now from a name standpoint that we feel like have a chance to emerge for us. Plus some of the holdovers that we feel like are going to be significant pieces in our pen. So we'll see how it ends up getting built. But I have a lot of confidence in our group that we'll put together something strong.
Some of those internal guys you're excited about?
Well, the holdovers, obviously, you could have a Clayton Beater that, what he did at the back half of the year coming out of the bullpen in the minor leagues and then getting a little bit of a taste in the big leagues. He's one guy that, we're excited about, that we feel like could potentially carve out a significant role. But there's always others that emerge. There'll be probably non-roster guys that you bring in that our group maybe is identified as somebody, I think we've had a pretty good track record of that. So I'm sure there'll be a couple guys that show up in spring training that we don't even know about yet that could end up playing an important role for us.
I think you guys made a run last year. Tanner Scott, what stood out when you seen him pitch?
Stuff. But I think now, he's always had the stuff and flashes of excellence, but obviously some struggles too. I think we're starting to see a finished product, though, of where the stuff and harnessing that have kind of come together. And I think this year was obviously one of the dominant relievers in the game. So I think it's just with his experience and the dynamic stuff that he has coming together now with that better control has allowed him to ascend.
You showed last year he went from closer straight to a setup role. Is that impressive when you see guys that he's an all-star closer, he goes to San Diego? I think Zach Britton did that.
Yeah.
Back. When you see guys like
it stands out with Britt with us. We got him, and now Britt had a longer track record of Britt was a dominant closer, as good as it got, and he came to us and was able to transition more into that eighth inning role, or back then we were a little more traditional. I'd use him a little bit in the seventh. Now we're getting more into using guys in spots we feel like they're most capable. I think that's a product probably where Tanner is in his career of like, oh, he's a mature, finished product now that has done it for a while, knows how to do it, and usually when you're really good, typically you're really good whatever inning they throw you in.
You mentioned development when it comes to Sasaki. How would you sell him on the Yankees pitching development?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, that's a deeper conversation. The messaging I've sent to him is just topical of like, and then that's for a later date of when he really wants to dive into, how we do things, how we evaluate things, maybe where there's areas where we see if there's little things that we can do to see immediate improvement. I think the one thing industry-wise and certainly with us is, we recognize that this is a pitcher that has a chance to be, an ace over here. I mean, it's that kind of talent. So we'll see.
He enjoyed playing in New York. You talked about value of interest. What do you think made the difference in the decision with him valuing here and money being so close?
I don't know. That's ultimately a question for Juan. We can speculate on the different things of, you can do that all you want, but ultimately that's a question for Juan, and it's his right to make that decision, and he made the one he felt was best for him and his family.
Aaron, you mentioned that you have several positions. You consider third base one of the best?
No. Now, one of the things, I think with Jazz gives us flexibility. So if, we end up, importing a third baseman or, plugging someone, feel like Jazz is someone that can obviously move to second base. But if we're in the second base market or filling that internally, no, I'm more than comfortable with Jazz at third and think that, I thought he was excellent over there going there for the first time, and I think showed you what he could probably be over there. So I think his versatility, his talent, gives you a little bit of flexibility to hopefully expand your search a little bit, and then you can plug Jazz accordingly.
So when you say there's a number of holes, where are they?
We'll see. Again, that's the thing about the winter is everyone assumes it's just, you see an open spot. You never know where the winter takes you. And it's like, you guys can all speculate on that. Because there's always internal candidates for certain spots. So, the winter sometimes is about plugging holes or filling positions that are viewed as open. But it's also sometimes you line up with places that it's about addressing a strength, because that's where you line up and that's what you're able to do. So it's never perfect, but you do the best you can to, you really put yourself in a position to go compete for something important.
It's hard to find that exact production. Spread it out. What are you missing without him? How do you?
Well, there's a lot of ways to build a team or skin a cat. Maybe it allows you to be more defensive, or maybe it allows you to play in the pitching market more often. It's where you line up. It's like there's a lot of ways to become a great team. Last year, we had an outstanding offense, obviously anchored by Juan and Aaron hitting back to back. That's not the only way to be a great team, though. So we'll see. And we're gonna, try our best to and confident that when we get to spring training, we'll be in a position that, we'll be one of those teams that has a chance to go compete for it all.
Volpe looked like a different candidate.
Yeah.
Do you feel like what he showed is not too
Absolutely. You know, obviously we talked a lot about Anthony all year. We talked about going in, some of the mechanical adjustments he made going into the season that worked. Then he struggled, you know, had his ups and downs offensively. I think I maintained all along, though, that I think it's just not a finished offensive product yet. That I think the different adjustments and things he's done are going to serve him well in the end, and we are going to look up in several seasons, and we're going to see a really good offensive player. And I'm really confident that what I saw from him in the final weeks of the season, and then certainly into the postseason, is absolutely something that will hopefully carry over to where he becomes more and more of a consistent offensive performer. And I am confident he will be able to do that.
Aaron, not knowing where the offseason will take you, would there ever be consideration to moving Volpe to second, or is he definitely?
No, I can't imagine that. You know, no, he's as good as it gets at short. So it's a very small list of players that I don't see us having the ability to import that would bump him over to second base.
In his prime, do you see him being a guy that can be a 300 hitter, 800 OPS? Like, when you look at him in his prime, where do you think he's going to be average-wise?
I don't know. But I think he's going to be a good offensive player. Where that ends up, you know, does it manifest itself more in average? Is there more power? I don't know, but I think we're going to see a very good offensive player when it's all said and done.
Aaron, we have access to the public bat tracking data now in October. Anthony was swinging the bat much harder than he was in the
Oh, yeah.
season. Do you know if that was a concerted effort or something like that?
No, it's a mechanical thing. And I had this conversation with you, and I've had it with Anthony. Like, the week off leading into the postseason, the little adjustments I saw, was like, boom, leapt off the screen to me. Like, that's it. That's it right there. So, and then obviously he carried it into the games, into the postseason, and so I haven't seen the bat tracking, but I'm not surprised because I know what I was watching every single day, and that's what we want. Yes. When you see it, yes.
Aaron, on the other
Last
side
one.
of that, Austin Wells' bat tracking data slowed down over the end of the season. Do you think that there was wear and tear catching for as well as he did for the first time? And how do you address that moving forward?
I think that's possible. I think he was in a good spot for the most part physically, being a catcher in October. Like, that's a given. You're probably going to be worn down a little bit, and especially for Austin, who hasn't done it in September, in October, especially with the load he was holding. And then you get beat up a little bit at different points. You know, at September he was beat up a little bit, but fine. So yeah, I think that being a catcher in October was a contributor to that, and I think going through it now will certainly serve him well moving forward in his career. But, I mean, because Austin's another guy that I feel like is going to be a very good offensive player, especially for the position he plays.